Hello,
Hey.
hello, people. Can you hear us?
Mm-hmm.
How are the vibes? Let's wait for a little moment for everybody to join. I think people know that I'll be late, so they just wait for the live moment.
Mm-hmm.
Adin,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
introduce yourself.
Well, most of you know me from Twitter, the X application.
You know what
So.
I love?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have combat experience.
Mm-hmm.
I did intelligence. I was in intelligence service.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very different from combat, like the things that you get to know.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
think it's nice. I think it's like complementary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I also
Mm-hmm.
you're are you being shy? Don't be shy.
No, when I have something to say, I'll say it.
The thing is the best things that come out of your mouth is when you don't have anything to say. This is when you're like you say something, it surprises you, and you're like, oh wow, that's interesting. I didn't know I have it in me. So people are asking, what did you do as
Mm-hmm.
a in the army?
In the army, I was electronic engineering in armory.
Oh wait, so were you combat or not combat?
I was kind of like sometimes on combat, sometimes I was just in the back, basically fixing armory. Like
Oh,
depend what they wanted at the moment.
yes. So what tour did you do? What number? Chamesh? Sheva?
Uh, I did 03
Oh, 003. Okay, so basic combat. I wonder
basic.
what my brother did. I think he did 7. It's 5, right? It's 05 and then you have extras. Pah. But my
Mhm.
brother is super shy. He won't gonna say anything. Like
Mhm.
extracting information from him is like the hardest intelligence work you can try to do. Like, what do you do in the army? We look at Hezbollah people and we and then I was like, no, no data, nothing.
Very classified.
Wait, you guys, is my mic wrong?
Um,
Let
it's
me check my
sometimes
mic.
when it's get close to your mouth,
To my,
get a bit buffy.
it's my hair. I think it needs to get away from not the other one. Is it better? Wait, is it muffled now?
Yeah.
Still muffled? Let me check. Is it to the right? Am I on the right audio? Oh, not on the mic. That's why it's muffled.
Hmm.
I don't know why I jumped. Is it better?
Yeah. Now I heard you more sharply.
Yeah, I was on my uh, headphones mic instead of my mic.
Mhm.
You guys can hear me now? Sorry for the. I worked in U.S. intelligence and CTC many years ago. If you're an analyst, you talk looking at your shoes. What? You talk looking. I don't know this joke.
Maybe it's a code for something.
Is it a joke though? You look talking at your shoes. Why? All right, let's start. So actually, I called this video. We wanted to talk about the Israeli Hasbara or lack thereof.
Hmm.
Do you have any comments just right off the bat?
I mean, I think the problem with the most, official, the kind of like the big official accounts of do הסברה, they tend to be, they try to be bit civil, they try to approach to many people as possible, so it's sometimes, the message is not sharp enough,
Hmm.
at least to my taste.
Yeah, could be. Also, it's like I don't think I feel like we don't have enough personnel in general.
Hmm.
But I collected some videos that I wanna kind of start because there is a special challenge. I feel like that some sides don't face. First of all, like we don't lie, which is a huge disadvantage. And plus, there is no gratification. Like you come and you talk to an Israeli and you take asbara, you have to think. Like, it's like, listen, life is complicated. Let's talk about it. Let's explain. Like, there are a lot of aspects. Like, we have to understand like national and like psychology of a society, psychology of religion, and even just history and like, everything like that.
I mean, the
Whereas
problem,
like the other side is like, let's hate Jews, and then it's like, woohoo.
I think the problem is already with the word hasbara itself, it's already the defensive position. You
Where
already,
does this? Do you know where this word originated from? Like, who hasbara?
I don't know, I think it's just, Israeli official explain stuff. Explanation is asbara, so it's just stick around this word. Basically, it's just a very generic word. I mean,
Is a very interesting. Vadim Brusilov. It's not a disadvantage not to lie, because if you lie all the time, like, of course they lie to themselves. It's like they want to feel like it's a fast feel good kind of situation. It's like you don't need to achieve anything, right? You don't really need to do anything. You don't really need to think. You just virtue signal your superiority and your moral like moral standing and everything like that. Like you without risking anything. Like that's the best. And of
we
course you lie to yourself. It's like it's junk food. But most people live their life lying to themselves. I kind of wonder, Asba. Okay, fine, I get you. You're not gonna be a very. I'm not. You're like my brother. Extracting info from you is gonna be like when you have to say something. Well, I wonder. Okay, so I actually want to start with some videos. It's gonna be pretty random. Not necessarily has to do with Asbara, but I think it's like it's a good. I want to set up the stage. I want to have a like conversation.
let's say.
America has seen better days.
I
We
just
had
saw
it good
this.
here for a long
I just saw this shirt today. Oh, it's like I recorded from my iPad, and I just thought, whoa! Like this was recorded more than a year ago on March 2023,
Hmm.
and like this is what this elderly woman had to say.
days. We had it good here for a long time. But it's over now. And if you don't see that, then you're not listening to the right news channels. So who are they going to blame? They're going to blame the Jews. They're going to scapegoat us. And we're going to be attacked. So let's get out before. That's what happened in Germany. If you don't see the handwriting on the wall, so you don't know Jewish history. Universities, do you know when they say you can't sit in the first two rows if you're Jewish? Does that
Like, did anyone know that? Did anyone know that? I didn't know that.
I mean, what she
Like
claimed?
more than a year ago, that Jews cannot sit in the first two rows.
Well, I don't know how much I don't know how much systemic the problem is. Like that
That's the
specific.
thing. I collected some like testimonies from things that happened before October, it was there, man. It was there.
Mhm.
Like I kind of wonder what she's talking about specifically, but that's not what what like this shirt is about.
Mhm.
That sounds like it happened in Germany. No, it's right here. Sell your money now, your house now, and you can take it to Israel. Move anywhere there. Just go there. There's strength in numbers. We have no numbers here. We're 2% of the population. So I'm telling this to everybody I meet. America's over 10 years ago. We're in big trouble. So the bottom line is move to Israel. America has seen better days.
It's tough.
What do you think? Like,
I mean, very interesting perspective. Like, I don't know how worse I don't know if the trend how worse it will going to get from there. But it seems she have some reasonable ground to feel.
I felt like with my family, with like I kind of feel the same way. Like,
Mhm.
you know, that maybe you need to have like a plan, another plan, just in case. I just Vadim Brusilov has a question for you. Adin, I have a question for you. How does it seeing human nature not at its best changed you?
Mm, I guess it just caused me to just have less expectation, like just general pessimistic skeptic person in
How does it? What predictions do you see as a pessimistic skeptic person?
like
Like
in what context, the US, Israel, what?
everything and anything.
Like I don't think the could that the going to be any major event anytime soon that going to change in our favor. Like,
Yeah, no, that it's gonna get darker, but like
like
how?
how? Like if we're going to be, for example, another terrorist attack in America, I already know that no matter what, it's going to be only bad for the Jews. Because it
Yeah,
doesn't matter who did it. Like it doesn't matter if it's Islamic or right wing or left wing. The first thing what will happen that the people claim, oh, it's a Mossad false flag or something,
like they tried to do in Australia.
and Russia and basically everything.
They did it
So
in Australia, you know. Blamed like like they made up a
yeah,
name.
they stab
Oh,
they
this guy
stabbed
looks
in the
like
mall.
Benjamin.
There were guy
Yeah,
who stabbed women in the mall.
yeah. They actually it wasn't a Jewish woman was kidnapped in France, right? And she got held and are worded like
Mhm.
and tortured. And I think she also like I don't
And
remember.
it's
I think
become
she also
common to
got
basically claim that every hate crime, every major they something, or it's a Mossad planted something. Just or they just want to make Jew haters look bad.
I mean I think it's the like yeah,
It's
it's a scapegoat
basically it's
situation. Like
basically just a
it's
symptom of lack of agency of those people, lack of responsibility. We don't want to take responsibility for any consequence of their own ideology.
that's the thing. Like the what we have to fight. Like we have to make people take responsibility for their actions. Is this the only real like as bara that can exist? Because like I kind of think
Mm.
that it's kind of it's a weird situation. Like it's weird. The Arabic tribes, thank you for your support. I looked at a part of the interview recently about the anti-Semitic protests, and the interview said that the protesters don't know why they protest. They just go with the TikTok and media trend. It's way more sinister than that. It's way more sinister than that. Like it's crazy what they're doing. I have like videos with students talking about it. It's crazy the lengths that they're going to. So like the things that they're doing are like that's another question. Can you fight with like, it's the same with Hamas right now. They have no rules. We have to follow international laws plus Jewish laws plus, which are even more strict than international laws when we fight Hamas. And Hamas has zero, has nothing. They can do whatever they want.
I mean,
And it's the same with our Hasbara. It's like we try to fight fair, but the other side fights dirty.
I mean, you have to remember that, let's say, our official Hasbara is basically just, if you can look up at the most official institutionalized form of Hasbara, it's basically just the Israeli government diplomats, which were just focused on having diplomatic relations with good relations with government, not with people.
I actually really like the speeches of Gilad Erdan, for example, in the UN. They're not bad. When it
I
comes to
listened. I haven't listened much.
they're pretty good. That's what? That's the number one problem. Nobody wants to listen to us at all. Just
I think the
listening to us,
problem is,
that's really hard.
I think the problem
Just
is Gilad Aradan. It's for that your example that you give, but he's a government official. Like no one
no, but
wants.
I'm talking about. Have you seen the video where there is? Wait, I have to find it. I'll try to find it. There is a video of Israeli beauty queen. She sat down with a table. Hey, talk to me. And people's reaction are like, they don't talk to you. They don't want to talk. Like the moment she said she was Israeli, people are like, okay, conversation finished. All colors are entombed in blue. And that's in real life, in online, it's even harder to get the attention. You guys, share my video. Thank you. And Adin's tweets. All
Also,
colors and
follow me on Instagram. Yeah.
Oh, you have also on Instagram?
Yeah. It's you can look the name in the bio on my X. You can on my Twitter. You can see on the bio the name.
Yeah. Every time someone lies, just say beta pagai. What is beta pagia? What is this beta pagia? I don't understand the joke. I should definitely educate myself. As they say. What can you search for this video maybe, or
With video of done.
with the beauty queen?
The what?
The beauty queen that she set up a table is like, hey, have a date with a beauty like she's like she was like in beauty pageants and stuff, like miss something, former miss whatever.
Well, I don't remember exactly what video.
I think if you just look it up, just because of what, maybe I'll just put up a video and then after, when we play the video, I'm gonna look for it. So here's like another example that I saw.
So,
because I do want to talk about the situation, like the bits of situations that I saw like before October 7th. And then what the other side is doing. And then I want to bring up like conversations from our side to see like what they're talking about and how related it is to reality. That's one thing. Miss Universe.
I graduate in about 2 weeks. So, looking back at my time, I think that, anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism have always been lurking in the shadows. We've always known it was there. My freshman year, there was a vandalism of a Torah, swastikas were being thrown into buildings. It's anti-Semitism has always existed, but it's never reached a peak quite like it has since this encampment started.
Sorry, I misread the notes they gave me, but
Yep.
Okay.
Like vendor, and then this is another one. I'm
And
just
protesters to be there, but they didn't want you there. Is that what you're telling me?
yeah. This is like the fair policing that is happening.
That's what it seemed
I'm just playing it in the background. I really want to search this video.
like. An MPD officer asked me if I could please leave, that I was instigating and that he was getting complaints from my being there. And, you know, if the pro-Palestine encampment is allowed to be there, so should I.
And I understand you want D.C. police and Mayor Bowser to take action. What would you want them to do?
It's a really difficult question because as we're seeing at other campuses, it's
Here,
becoming
this is
very
what I
violent.
like. It's like like Israel, like Jews will come up and they protect free speech, they protect their values, while those people like on the other side just use free speech as a free pass to beat up Jews, like physically. A fair game. Huh?
I mean, it's kind of like many, so-called, anti-Zionist Jews just believe that the duty of the Jewish people is just spread values to everyone and everywhere except for themselves.
Yep. I'm gonna look for it.
Very fast when Jewish lives lost during the Holocaust. This year, we're also memorializing.
Yeah, actually, this is boring. I see why our Hezbollah sucks.
I mean, to be honest, like those kind of videos, I think the problem is, seeing students complain about anti-Semitism, it doesn't really create us, but it just creates basically the people who already worried about the issue just further inform them at best.
But the thing it's ironic because think about all the outrage when there is any other kind of minority that is getting attacked for being a minority. They burned the Torah school. They vandalized the Torah school in a university. Can you imagine how crazy that is? Isn't it insane? Before October 7th. She's like, oh, maybe there were some signs because they drew swastikas everywhere and they ruined our Torah scroll. Like maybe that's the problem. Like the Jews, like their tolerance level is so high. Like, oh yeah, they just burned the synagogue, another Tuesday.
I mean, because I think it's because the perception that Jews might be that anti-Semitism is at worst a religious bigotry, not racism.
So you think it's not something that is
I think this is
like Islamophobia is everywhere, isn't it?
Because they believe that it basically Jews in America kind of like belong to the white class, the white passing class, the privileged class, basically. So they can't be victims of systemic racism.
What does it have to be with the Jews, though? What does it have to be with the Jews? To do with the Jews?
Really, because Jews were accepted to America as belong to the white privileged class. They cannot be.
Yeah, right.
They
That's
cannot
not the history
be,
of America.
Yeah, I mean, this is how many
Jews were not accepted as white nice people.
But this is how many Jews in America see it. At least for my personal experience, how they sometimes see it. They see it as being successful assimilation case, successful basically got to the top and all that. So they can't be victim of racism in the same form that Black Americans or Latin Americans can be. So anti-Semitism is at worst a religious bigotry.
But you like drawing swastikas, like ruining a Torah scroll. Really, Adin, you should really like lower your tolerance level. That should be there should have been an outrage about it. I think this is the problem. Why was there no outrage? Like they ruined as a university.
I think it's also the perception that anti-Semitism, at least how they see it, is just a symptom of white supremacy, basically.
No, I think I disagree with you.
I
think that because Jews did not burn America once their Torah scroll got touched, nobody respects
What
them.
I
They're like,
trying to
oh,
say is,
those are not gonna, those are people are not gonna do anything. They're not gonna ruin anything. They're not gonna do anything, and we can burn them
no,
because
what
they're
I'm
not
trying to
gonna.
say is because they see anti-Semitism as a symptom of white supremacy, at least generally, they think that if they align themselves with the Black American struggle or queer struggle or all those, famous struggle in America, they will naturally solve, white supremacy and therefore solve anti-Semitism.
Who cares? Why do we need to speak their language? We don't.
I
You
mean,
need
we
to
want
be.
to understand. If we want to
I
understand
don't want to. I
what
don't. I think that's wrong. I don't think we need to understand
I
them.
mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying we need to understand from where the problem came from.
Yeah, but that's not asbara. Like that's like I think the best offense
It
is
is
like
not a matter of
defense is
asbara. It's a
offense.
matter of perception of reality.
Okay, so what if the why like you cannot like ruin Torah scrolls or places of worship?
What I'm
It goes
saying is,
again like
you try,
this
you
should be
ask a
something
lot,
like no. I think Jews should have outrage. It should have been anywhere, everywhere. That
and I
in a
try to give
university,
explanation why they're not.
like, but like it doesn't matter because I think the Jews didn't make noise. That's what I'm saying. If we want
Yeah,
asbara,
and I
how
try
can
to
we
give
let those kind of
explanation why it
things just
is,
pass?
and I give
Well,
explanation, at least some assertion why it is
so
so.
wait, but before you come to this assertion, the first question to ask is that is there was an attempted outrage by the Jews that they're in university, their places of worship get drawn as this was before October 7th, right? Nothing. This is attack on Jews because this has nothing to do with Israel. Get like ruining a Torah scroll in a university in the United States by students and getting swastikas drawn on Jewish gathering places has nothing to do with Israel, has absolutely zero to do with Israel. So was there any, did the Jews even try? Did they try to say, did they try to outrage? Was there any reaction? Like the tolerance level is that we have as a community is like, this is the first problem. This is what's the first like unacceptable thing in my mind, that's what I think.
So
And
this
if
is
like
why
it's
I
one
gave
thing, it's like why? Okay, white supremacy, whatever. We are white people, so we deserve to get our scrolls burned.
what
I
I'm
can I can understand that, like, but this is after you did the minimum of outraging. Like this is after you did the minimum of like, hey, saying, hey, like trying to shout, hey, this is not okay. And then if that is being silenced and ignored, then we need to understand like their mind. And I kind of wonder, was there an
Yeah,
attempt or
so this is why
were Jews
I gave.
like are Jews being like just silenced in the US? Is that what's happening?
This is why I gave that explanation that
Yeah, but
many
that is like you
Jews
skipped a step,
see.
you know?
Hmm?
You just like you skipped a step.
I mean, you ask why Jews are not more outrageous as you expect. So I give explanation how many Jews in
I
America
mean, we're spilling the tea on
perceive.
our hasbara. We're supposed to talk shit about our hasbara. That's first thing.
I mean, we can't understand Hasbara if we don't understand what the problem is.
First of all, the problem is that somebody burned my Torah scroll. That's my problem. The heck I care why someone did it. Like
Yeah,
somebody is coming and taking something from you. The first thing is like, I wonder why they did that. Like I know now I understand why our Asbara sucks. The heck, who cares why they do that? It's just not okay. It's just not okay. There should have been an outrage, like an
so I
outrage, a
explain.
real
So I give
outrage.
explanation why there
But then
is.
the question is there like, and is the problem, is the Jews are the problem because they don't outrage, because they see themselves as somebody that needs to be punished? Is this the psychology? Because
Well,
this is the first step. And then the second question is it because they did outrage, but they were silent and ignored? And then you're like, okay, there is the whole white supremacy theory. This is where it comes in. You getting me?
this is why my explanation. to why they are not more outrageous as you expect them to be is
But I'm
because,
talking about the Jews. Do
yeah,
the
the Jews.
Jews like
I'm
the
talking about.
Jews think the
I'm
Jews
saying.
don't are not outraging because they see themselves as white supremacists in the United
No,
States?
they see themselves as belong to a privileged class, and because they belong to a privileged class, they have a so-called responsibility to help basically more weak minorities, more weak population, and therefore they see the core problem or the source of all problems is from white supremacy or ultra, basically. So they believe that if they will unite with the black struggle, the Latin struggle, and all that, they will be able naturally also to solve the anti-Semitism problem.
Well, I think this like my where I'm going to like before we trying to explain and understand is that the first thing is like, okay, if we outraged, then there is one thing is like, is there if there was an outrage, then there is proof that their voices are being silenced, right? So then it's like, okay, so we have to be more sophisticated
The
about it.
question is if there is enough American Jews who think it's a voice that worth to be heard.
Here is Nathaniel, Rebecca, it's not that simple. Jewish voices are worth less in the cultural Marxist ideology of the American government. Hasbara is not going to do anything. They won't listen. Yes, but
I
listen, there
want
is,
use.
and if there is, the thing is like, I know it's unacceptable in Jewish mind, but outrage is also like, it's like if you like all the Jews in this, I think she was from, what is it, like UCLA? If they all would gather and start shouting and like smashing some things, I think people would notice that the Torah scroll was burned. Like this is what I'm saying with outrage. Like the Jews didn't do enough, like didn't terrorize enough to get the attention, right? It's
I
like,
mean,
okay, it's
no,
nobody listening to you when you're
I want,
polite, but if
I,
the Jews would have burned something, maybe they would have listened to.
I
Hey,
want
listen, I want to
advocate.
improve the Asbara, and I don't want to. I'm tired of this shit. I think we
I
should
want
really silence stuff.
advocated to violence and terrorizing. I mean, I think the last guys who tried to do it were was Kahanism, and it didn't work really well for
Okay,
us.
I don't mean really real. I don't mean איך קוראים ברוך גולדשטיין. Okay, I don't mean this kind of
No,
terms.
I'm not referring to Goshen. I'm referring
But
to the
I'm talking
GDL.
about Jesus style, where you go and turn some tables. Not that you go and explode.
I
Not
mean,
that you don't need to burn it. Like Jesus style outrage.
the
Like
GDL did
Jesus
it,
style.
and it didn't really. The GDL did for stuff, and it didn't really work for us in our
What's
favor.
the
The
GTO?
GDL, the Jewish Defense League of Kahanism.
Where in Israel? I'm talking about the
In
US and
America.
the
In
universities.
America.
They
It
did
was in
something?
America. The GDL in America.
Okay, so you are so did the okay, few Jews.
The GDL.
So Jews that they go into the university, they flip tables, nobody comes, there is no media, there is nothing. This is where we are at, okay? This is our
There's
baseline. This is what we need to understand.
The GDL tried to do full violence to get attention to anti-Semitism and all, and it didn't really work well. It, in fact, just annihilated many other Jews than actually helped to solve the problem.
Somebody was the Jibril, Rebecca, they were literally attacking the encampments now. That's true. And by the way, I saw the videos. Like those, like it looked like those who actually gave the war Israelis, to be honest. Like from the way they looked and acted. So you're saying, okay, so Jews that would have like this happened at UCLA, like I don't know, 2 years ago or so. Like the Jews went, flipped tables, everything was literally silenced completely.
I mean, it's not
And
just
if they
silence.
try to go to the
They were
media,
just
then nobody listened to them.
they were not just silence. They were perceived as a terrorist organization because, to be fair, they were kind of were terrorists in the way they acted, which like the GDL. I don't see them as a good example.
I mean, GTL. I'm just talking about the students in UCLA. Did they try to flip some tables?
I mean, I don't know.
Did they
Like,
try to?
to
I
be
don't know.
honest, is
That's a
it
question.
really students? I mean, student voices were
But
rarely,
look what Black Lives Matter did. They burned America down,
and
and
black
everybody, and then
does
and then
and
everybody noticed
Rebecca,
the
do
black
you think
plight.
Black Lives Matter succeed in getting their goals with all those
Yeah, they want to burn America. That's they succeeded 100% in
did they
that as well.
succeed at improving the situation of Black America?
I don't think so. Probably not.
So what exactly do we gain from basically be like them? If they didn't
I
improve
don't
the
know.
situation of the people we supposedly fight for, why we should even look at them as the example?
Hmm. I mean, true, but like at least like listen to us a little bit. We don't have to actually go and burn it. Like, if you stop it like in the right amount, right? So you don't really burn America. You just flip a table. Jesus style. We say the Jesus style. Everybody likes the Jesus in America. A lot of people. This is like if this is we say, hey, listen, we follow Jesus. Jesus went to the temple, so people are corrupting, like cheapening
Money
the
laundering
temple area,
company.
and he flipped some tables, got attention. Why can't we flip a table?
I don't know, like it sounds really, very just, a mess for the sake of it. Like it doesn't really sounds like it's going to change really anything. I mean, for me, it just seems they'll just say,
Just
look, the Zionists also act violently. Like what exactly we will gain from that?
the thing is that because because it's like to me like a Torah scroll in a university was like violated,
Yeah,
and
but
it
why
wasn't
will
like
be,
there
how
wasn't like an
exactly will it
outrage
make
and
our
like
situation better? How exactly what
so
we could
people would actually like listen, like come, hey, why did you flip a table? And they'd be like, hey, they ruined my Torah
Do
scroll.
you really think this is what we're going to ask? For me, it just seems we will just say, hey, they act violently, they also act violently, so why we should disregard whatever they're calling for?
I mean, yeah, the thing is like, it's like you have to try everything. That's the question. Would it be like my question is like, how much people like, like it's like, I don't know, like the minimum maximum kind of situation, the minimum maximum. I think they're like, I don't know. I don't know if it's wrong.
I mean, as I said, as I told you, I'm a very skeptic person. I don't really think it will be very sufficient to us to do those kind of thing.
Let me see some martyr mouse. Let me see. Thank you for liking my face and for the money. What is the Sardinian way of saying it? Wow. Okay, Sardinian. That's a language I didn't. I'll look into it. Ayatollah Khamenei, rejecting the entire Marxist view of reality is the first step for any Jews in America.
Don't
All
think
woke roads all leads to the destruction of the Jewish identity. Yeah, I agree with that. Like,
I don't think they hold specifically, at least most of them hold Marxist view. I think they just hold a generic view of basically of oppressed and oppressor of old worldview. Like,
yeah, but like, I don't know. I don't like the thought of like, okay, so we need to accept their twisted like view of reality. The relic tribes. If I had to choose between anti-Jew protest and a cow, I would choose the cow. Milking one cow after another. That's what we do. We're proud of that. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's funny. I'm sorry for reading it in a very lousy voice. Thank you, Flicky, for your support. Ayatollah Khamenei. Hi, Rebecca, if you want Jews to protest and act like animals like the Palestinian protest, this is not how Jews behave and will not win support. No, I don't want them, but I want to do like, okay, something more creative than that, right? But something creative to just get people's attention, To like this is a red line that was crossed like way before October 7th,
I don't
and
think
not the
we
only
can gain
one.
more attention to what we want through violence. I think it will only
But
work.
that doesn't have to be violence. That's what I like. I said flipping tables. I don't know, putting like,
Flipping table sounds violent.
okay, having like bringing a huge scroll to the middle of campus and burning it and saying,
Why?
this is what, I don't know, something artistic, something, anything.
I f- like
Like
I
something
know.
that would catch the attention. Like, why is there a huge Torah scroll in the middle of campus? It's because you ruined ours. Let's talk about it. It's not okay. Like something.
I mean, to be like, I think,
Like
like from my
like
experience,
now,
from my
what's
experience,
better for us to for the Jews in the U.S. to be persecuted right now and to physically be hunted down? Like why does it have to get to that? Like now the Jews, like now all the Jews will start looking for the most creative ideas and ways to fight back. But the truth is that was a fight that should have been fought a long time ago.
I mean, right now, I don't think Jews in America are, persecuted, at least in the systemic sense. I think they are become more and
Oh
more targeted.
yeah, wait, I brought wait for the next clip.
I mean, I try, I
Gonna
try
listen.
to be, I try to be very careful with the word I use to describe the events and process, so it will be more clear exactly where we are, and to leave any room for confusion.
I thought here
When
for
I say
oh
like,
yeah, it's true.
this is why I use the word anti-Semitism very sparingly when I describe, anti-Israel people, because I'm more like I more lean to show, don't tell. I won't say, oh, look, they're anti-Semite. I will show what they do, so the people who will see it will conclude, at least if they're rational, that this
Yeah,
is
no,
anti.
no, no, man. This is what I learned to like. This is what I understood. Okay, the only people on earth that think like that are Jews. Like literally, everybody else need everything to be spelled down for them. Like everything. Like even I try to like lower the level of the conversation that I have, but
Mhm,
like even that is complicated.
mhm.
Like in when it comes to morality and stuff, like Jews just talk like that from birth. Like this is what we're used to.
If you go,
The
but the
rest of the
problem,
world is not used to that. They don't, like they need everything to be spelled down, like it's very simplified, like slogans, like we have to be like burning Torah scrolls is not cool, like something that rhymes, and then go run with that slogan kind of situation.
mhm.
Like I don't know, it's like something. I just don't feel like it's like if 2 years ago, like already, like Jews weren't allowed to sit in the first two rows in university, and the Torah was violated, and they get swastikas drawn way before, like and it's Jewish, it's anti-Jewish, it has nothing to do with Israel. So how come, like, did you hear of that? Like, did you know that? Did it reach us, the Israelis?
Mhm.
It's like the Israelis need to hear that, even if not the Americans. Why? How come the Israelis don't hear about those things? Like, because in Israel, somebody would listen for sure.
I mean, first you
I
need a
think
clear
so.
voice. I mean, first, is there any representative American Jewish voice even?
I don't know. Maybe we should have had more American Jews with us to defend themselves on their lack of defending themselves.
Mhm.
And it's like,
I
oh,
mean, to be honest, I don't think we, at least Israelis, can do anything about it.
it's true. It's
Like,
not
as
our
much as it's,
fight.
I don't think we as Israelis from Israel, in Israel, can do anything about whatever happened in America.
Yeah, we can give them tips. We can help them with the good ideas. They need listen. The truth is, I know from like my mom is working like in an organization that works also with like Jewish diaspora and stuff. They're asking for our help. They've been asking for our help for some time now, and they're kind of mad that we're ignoring them. Like, to be honest, like from what I've like understood is like they do have expectations from us, which we're like, come like the like I don't know. If you're curious, look up Manasanas Maimon. Thank you for your support. All colors are Tombin. I'll look it up. I'll try to remember to look it up. Thank you. I don't know. Like I think that's another like it's just I know like yeah Jews from around like from America have been like, but in the other hand is like Israelis don't understand anti-Semitism like that. Like they don't even they don't like something was like they should have like I think the Americans should have went like more clearly to the Israelis as well, like with all those examples of at least in Israel, and then Israelis would have helped them like think about ways and like giving them means to fight back, because all those protesters, they have Iran and Qatar and like they have Turkey and Iran, like they have states behind them, they have China behind them. Like it makes sense that Jews that would trying like to protect Judaism would also have a state behind them. It doesn't make sense. Like all of the rest of the protests, like those are countries that are running it. Those are not like I'm gonna bring it up, but like those are not individuals. This is not something that rose in America. This is sponsored by foreigners completely, like everything.
The West is with Palestine. It's completely nonsense. Guys, look who is protesting. Obviously, you have locals, but look at the big picture. Who is protesting? Look at us, look at them, and you'll understand exactly what I'm saying.
Can you tell me more about how you feel when you see these massive protests?
I'll tell you. They're ungrateful. They're abusing democracy. They used to live in a dictatorship. They run away from dictatorship, seek asylum in democracy, in the West. And then instead of saying, okay, we have an opportunity to prosper, to become part of the country, part of the society where they are, they actually want to do the same thing like their leaders did in their countries. This is the level of the hypocrisy that I cannot tolerate.
Adin, are you in the chat right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, here is a good asbara. Yosef Haddad also is an Israeli Arab, by the way. He's amazing. He knows how to do asbara. He doesn't shy away from it.
I need to go for a few minutes. I'll be back.
Yeah, no worries. I'll remove you from the stage for now. Let's see.
Anti-Semitism on campus, students speak. I'm Brian Brenberg. The anti-Israel movement.
I actually really liked it. Like Fox really did a nice video here. Do you guys know this?
On college campuses across the country is showing no signs of slowing down, despite efforts to clear campuses. The epicenter of the chaos right here in New York City at Columbia University, where overnight the NYPD reclaimed Hamilton Hall that was vandalized and overtaken by the so-called peaceful protesters the night before. But today, many of those calling to free Palestine were right back in the streets here in the Big Apple and joined by faculty members. Tonight, we've gathered a group of Columbia students to talk about what's unfolding and how the protests are impacting their lives and the country. Welcome to all of you. I'm so glad to have you here. This is a chance to go deeper. When we do normal television, it's 3 minutes, it's a quick thought, and we're out. But today, we want to have the full conversation. What are you seeing? What does it mean? And what do you want to do about it? And I want to start with, what is it that you're experiencing on campus? John, I'm going to go to you first. Tell us about what it's like right now. Give us the unvarnished picture on what it means to be a Jewish student on the campus of Columbia.
I can't speak for the Jewish students entirely, but on campus there's a lot of tension. The situation feels unsafe and that it can burst at any moment. I was on campus tonight, Hamilton Hall was taken. Situations like that feel like they can happen at any moment.
I see some heads nodding. Sam, your head's nodding. This consistent with your experience as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been a lot of trespassing. There's videos of people breaking through the windows of the dormitories on campus. It's so easy to sneak in. I have no idea how many of the protesters are actual students. And that's pretty frightening.
Yeah, that seems to be the question.
Been a student, and then public safety just told us that, you know, the Hamas flag is just a symbol. It's not actually inciting violence, and we were just kind of left there to see a terrorist on campus, which is frightening.
Can you spot these guys? Like, is it easy to spot this?
Absolutely.
Talk about that. What do you see?
They're very recognizable. People's names and faces. Everyone becomes quite accustomed to who's a student, who's been suspended, professors that have been suspended. For example, Professor Mahmoud Abdul, who was suspended a long time ago. Shafiq brought him up at Congress and said he's been suspended and he's not allowed to work at Columbia anymore. You see him every single day.
Okay.
By the way, this is systemic. This is like the whole institution. Like the whole institution is cooperating with that.
Hold on, let me ask you this. You get a professor who your president said, gone. You're on campus, and that guy is still there every day right now. What do you feel like when you see that?
It's a wave of emotions. On the one hand, you're almost scared, like this is a professor that got fired because he wants the annihilation of the Jewish state, which extends to Jewish students. You know that you would not be safe in that professor's classroom. And that professor is in your campus, in your space. You're forced to interact with that person every day. So on the one hand, you're scared. On the other hand, you're infuriated. Why is this person still having access to my campus? Who else has access to my campus then?
Yeah, access seems to be a big issue. Noah.
I mean, I would say regarding access, students who don't live on campus right now in the buildings that actually are on campus have not been allowed to enter campus over the past 2 days, and it's caused issues. As a student, I'm in the joint program with the JTS program, and I can't even go on campus. The
JTS program is the...
it's a joint program with Columbia, so we live on 122nd Street in the JTS dorms, and we can't access dining halls on campus, we can't access the library, the gym, we can't even go on our own campus.
You can't get food, which you've paid for. You can't go to the health facilities, which you've paid for. It's finals week. Your campus is...
I mean, it's a very American thing to do, but they should really sue the heck out of those universities.
Closed.
But it's literally...
But to be honest, like if you see how the Trump case is being ran in New York, maybe they should try to sue them outside of New York. Maybe go to like a Texas or Florida or something and sue them there. I don't know if you can actually do that, but like I have like a bad feeling about blue state jury.
It's littered with terrorists and pro-terrorist sympathizers.
I see. Uzair Jibril, Rebecca, they started suing the universities in November. You got some info about what's up? Like how is those things are going? Like the suing thing? Yeah, I know there are some there are lawsuits that are happening.
And people who just want to tear down, harass people and create violence and just create.
Dylan John, protests in Ireland have been fined 200. Like the far right ones or the far left ones? like the far right. Actually, the far left is far left. But like the far right ones, far right, I mean like the normal people ones or the other ones?
Unsafe systems.
You use the word infuriated. What is that how you feel?
For sure. I think there's also something quite ironic in the point that a lot of the protesters who stormed Hamilton Hall and obviously occupied it were asking for humanitarian aid, which is not only tone deaf to exactly what's happening in Gaza, but is also a slap in the face to everything that's being faced by students who live off campus, who can't access dining, and who can't access the campus in the same way that these protesters and outsiders are occupying the stage.
Well, I guess it's ultimately America.
This is boring.
Jump in.
Yeah, to be honest, I feel very sad about this situation.
Like everybody is making like fun of those protesters, like that they are pretending to be like the Gazans and how entitled they are. Like to me, looking at that, I think they're like the cosplay is like spot on. Like spot on. Like the Gazans are the same, okay? They're just as entitled as those students are. Like they are crying about humanitarian aid and then and then they rob and then they actually kill the Egyptian drivers that come with the humanitarian like driving the trucks with the humanitarian aid. Like they actually like they killed one for sure. All the trucks got attacked and like they just stole it all, like including the truck that was bringing the food. Like so to me, like people are saying, oh, the Gazans, like they have a real issue that they created 100% themselves, like, and then they lock themselves up and they're hungry. Like the Gazans shoot their humanitarian aid and then they're hungry. Like what's the difference? I think the cosplaying here, like this is like the same, okay? Like the Gazans are just worse. They're doing it like in much more grandiose way, but it's like the same, like accurate, to be honest, accurate. I think you should not like make fun of them. I think because when you make fun of them, it sounds like the Gazans are not like that, but in reality, Gazans are just like that. So I think it's accurate.
Especially for the students, because these are 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds who are committing career suicide over something they don't understand. I was alive for 9/11.
I asked him why he hadn't gone on. He said that unless someone gets shot, he cannot enter campus that night.
That's the threshold.
That's the threshold.
It's not any lower level of safety than getting shot.
Regarding the access, though, they only have the gates open on one side of either Broadway or Amsterdam, so you're forced to walk.
Wait, I wanted to. The Zionists are starving me. I lost 3 pounds last month. Yeah. And to be honest, most of the protesters are kind of chubby, so. I mean, they're skinny. I remember when I was in the US, like people that would be called chubby here, they would be like going to the US, they're like, oh, you're so skinny. I'm like, what? But then I think where my impression when I was there is like that either people are super fit or they're kind of chubby. And then like I understand that because like just breathing the air in the United States, like you gain 5 pounds. Like you breathe and it's like there's so much oil. I don't know if it's like that anymore. I haven't been there for 10 years at least. Like I was there when I was younger, right? But like I remember like this is what I thought. You just land, breathe in, you gain like 5 pounds right on the spot.
By the protesters. I was walking by and I had to defend myself from an assault.
Unless someone gets
walk by.
That's the threshold.
That's the threshold.
It's not any lower level of safety than getting shot.
Regarding the access, though, they only have the gates open on one side of either Broadway or Amsterdam, so you're forced to walk by the protesters. I was walking by and I had to defend myself from an assault.
Is that right? Tell us more. I want to hear more if you're willing.
So I'm walking, 116th and Broadway was closed. I had to walk up to 117th. I don't know the name of the gate, but the main gate on 116th was closed. Since it was closed, I had to walk by a protest that was heading south. I was heading north toward the gate. I had a cup of coffee in my hand and I was shoved out of nowhere. I had to defend myself. It was the NYPD got involved very quickly. They took swift action, and I'm okay. And
Right.
I'm sure everything is fine, but
you're getting shoved on your way to campus, and the only door you can get through
to attend class.
And you got to walk right by the guys who are saying, I don't know, some of them it sounds like they're saying you shouldn't be here in the first place, Victoria.
Yeah, I think that one of the main issues is just the way that speech is being promoted, because although I do believe that free speech should be allowed, of course, in America, I think that a lot of the speech is not being is not actual free speech and should not be classified as such. And I think
should look like on.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. So I'm sorry for skipping randomly. I just like those like things that are like free speech. No, I don't care.
Campus. What should free speech?
Globalizing the Intifada, or death to the Zionist state, or chants where people say we don't want no Zionists here. I mean, even outside of campus, there were a bunch of mobsters yelling at two of my friends that they want October 7th to happen over and over again. Just a matter of time ago that when people show you who they are, you should believe them. And I think we've been shown time and time again who these students are.
When somebody shows you who they are.
They vandalized Hamilton Hall, but it is bringing a lot of protesters who are not students to outside the gates, which is a real problem.
Simply put,
it's like we are all Hamas, or death to
Like,
Jews, or death.
I skipped all the parts where it's like that, like speech abuse. Like, how do you say that? Verbal abuse. I skipped it. It was just like just their usual, just kill the Jews and things like that. I wanted to skip to the interesting parts to me, because I think everybody heard about that verbal abuse already.
To America, or something very severe like that. Raise your hand if you've actually heard that with your own ears on campus. That's interesting, because I've spoken to some protesters on your campus. I was there yesterday. One thing they said is there's nothing about these protests that should make anybody feel unsafe. But what you're telling me is, in fact, exactly the opposite of that.
I mean, yeah.
You go.
Looking at what happened with Hamilton Hall, I would say that before that, it was already tense on campus, and I already felt unsafe. I need help, and they need to be freed from Hamas, but I can't.
Yeah,
they have camp leaders who have yellow vests on. They quickly, within 2 seconds, they will come, pull the person away, and be like, don't listen to them, don't talk to them. But this guy, he decided to come out of the encampment and speak with us. He was kicked out, but he decided to come speak with us. Me and him spoke for 30 minutes. We agreed on almost everything. We both want peace. He's from Haifa. We speak the same language. And I said, so tell me about the atmosphere inside the encampment. Like, what do you hear? Is it actually peaceful? And he says, honestly, I've overheard people in the encampment say, kill all the Jews. There should be one state. It's an Arab state. And I was like, that's crazy. I want to go inside and see what it's like. So I went inside a few days later. And the first thing we were directed to were the community guidelines. You look at them, whatever, you go inside immediately.
Like, listen to that. Like, listen to what they're describing. It's absolutely insane.
We were followed by a faculty member the entire time.
A faculty member?
A faculty member.
Can I just, I want you to keep going, but so you've got the Pledge of Loyalty, you've got community guidelines, you've got camp leaders wearing vests. This is the contours of the student protest at Columbia. Please continue. I'm fascinated.
So we walked around a bit this entire time. This faculty member, someone whose bills I pay, was stalking us. Everyone started staring at us. We were wearing our dog tags, bring them home. It was the first time in my life that I've ever felt subhuman. People were whispering about me, looking at me like I was some alien. When I was with a friend who's religious, and she goes to the faculty member, she goes, I've heard that there are a lot of Jews in the camp. It's the Passover. I would love to share a piece of matzah with them and wish them a happy holiday. Could you please point them out to me? She wouldn't reply to any of us. Students came up to her. They said, do you need help getting rid of the Zionists? She was like, I've got it under control. She would not talk to us. It was like we were invisible. They then had a private meeting, the leaders, where we were sitting. They pushed us out. They held a sheet up in front of us. We had then 3 faculty members stand in front of us. This is
so faculty members.
Faculty members. No, they gave us their names. They told us what courses they teach. So we started speaking to one of the faculty members. This is very strategic because this was the first time that the faculty members decided to talk to us when there was a private meeting right in front of us that they didn't want us to listen into. And it was very illuminating, some of the things the faculty members had to say.
I want to dig in on faculty more. Daniela, I saw sort of a look of disgust growing on your face as you were listening to the story. Have you experienced some of this or been in proximity to the encampment? I'm just curious your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been listening to all my friends, and when I hear it time and time again, I'm disgusted from the beginning. And I went into the encampment. I had a similar situation. I wanted to see what was going on, truly with no antagonistic intention. I really just wanted to see what was up there.
Yeah.
And I went in with a couple of my friends, and I had a similar experience to Sabrina, where they immediately surrounded me. They were instantly aware that I was like not one of them. I wear my dog tag from the IDF. I think I had it out. I don't remember. Okay. I think they saw it. And they immediately said, like, who are you guys? Don't take photos and videos of us. Sorry, we're all just like on high alert right now. I said, no worries. I just walked around. There were a million flags. There was one that had a bunch of Arabic written all over it. I took one picture when I was there, and it was of the flag. Then one of the students there approached me. This was after they're all saying, like, I think you guys should leave. And I'm like, why? Like, am I antagonizing you? We just think you should leave. And then I said to them, or what? And they got really close. One girl got really, really close to me and said, do you want to find out? And that was a threat. Yeah. And it was very clear. And this was a girl who was actually taking photos and videos of me after I had been asked not to do the same to them. Yes.
Others who have had experiences with the encampment, share. I want to hear.
I'd actually like to follow up on what Daniela said because I was there. We went to the public safety officers. There were only 2 of them on the entire campus. They were standing maybe 100 or 200 feet away from the encampment. And we said, we were just physically threatened by this person. We could point them out there wearing distinctive clothing. Public safety is wildly outnumbered, or was wildly outnumbered on campus before the NYPD came in and did what they did. So they said, oh, go file a report. So we go file a report in this office on the backside of campus. There's no follow-up. We're telling them this person threatened us, and we can tell you exactly who they are, and there's no response. And I feel bad for public safety because they're being hamstringed, or they were being hamstringed by our university. If you staff 2 public safety officers, unarmed, probably minimal training.
That says something.
Yeah, I just thought like this is so like all this like, we understand why they don't do their job because they're like, why? Just complain for once. Like, why you're so understanding? It makes it like, it's not catchy when people are like explaining everything. Meh.
Something, doesn't it? Just even the staffing level of that says it there.
Unfortunately, the few who are a part of the devastation on campus are taking away from that. And I think that's such a great comparison to what's happening overseas.
Until students are being harassed, until American flags are being burned. Sam and I, we stood on the front of an alma mater, the statue that's in front of Low Library, with our American flags. Many of the working faculty came up to us, hey, we really appreciate you guys, the public safety officers, the people who are serving these same kids their food every day. They said, we feel unsafe about this. And
because they're entitled, I bet they treat everyone like they treat Jews. Like, it's just the way who they are.
Administration had done nothing.
It started out as only just the 2 of us and turned into 10, 15. We had a lot of support. There was a couple celebrities that called us white supremacists on Twitter, which was great.
Wait, they called you white supremacists for doing what again?
Holding an American flag.
Raising an American flag.
And we were the most
American university.
I would say we were the most diverse looking group of white supremacists.
I'm here for you. pointing at us and saying, "I'm here for you." And to me, what I have to say about the encampment and about the idea that people often say, "Oh, it looks so peaceful from the outside," but I can tell you these people are complicit in anti-Semitism, if not actually doing it themselves. And to be complicit is tantamount to doing it yourself. And also, I too entered the encampment. I want to echo what Daniela and what everyone else has said, is that the second I stepped on, I was wearing this jacket here with the hostage pin and the blue square. Yeah. The second I stepped on, I felt like an outsider, and they ensured that I felt like an outsider.
You know, on our campus, there was a individual who participated in the October 7th massacre in
Okay,
Israel.
this is the crazy. This is so crazy. Like, this is insane. Like, somebody who actually participated. Oh, you guys, you know what I should show you? Oh my God. I wish it's in English, right? Okay. Oh my God. I have to show it to you. That will be a comedic stop after that. Yeah, there was somebody who participated. Can you believe it? Continue.
American innocent civilians on October 7th. And I called public safety to let them know that that individual was on campus. And public safety said, quote, "How do you expect me to find one random individual amongst all of these people?" That's their job, but they've been entirely handcuffed by this administration who, everyone has said, has done absolutely nothing of consequence since October 7th until last night when they thankfully let the NYPD finally do their job. But it's just been horrific. And frankly, anti-Semitism at Columbia has been a problem before October 7th.
I kind of want to get into that.
And they have known about it for years. Joseph Mossad, who is a professor, has worked at Columbia for many, many years. Yeah. He's been known to be an anti-Semitic professor, and he went on October 7th to say that the attacks on innocent Israeli and American civilians were amazing and awesome. And this man is allowed to teach in a university in the United States of America. That is disgraceful.
You got a couple of neighbors who want to jump in. Go ahead.
I think Noah made a really good point that I just want to dwell on for a second. He made this point that there are a lot of outsiders claiming that these protests are peaceful. I just want to say something that's been incredibly frustrating in my eyes, and I'm sure a lot of them will agree. There are these token Jews, that's what I like to call them, who basically renounce their Judaism, don't associate with Judaism in the slightest bit. Even to me, they've renounced their Judaism. I was at a tabling event earlier this year for Mizrahi Heritage Month, and this kid who's like the prominent face of JVP told me,
By the way, isn't it funny that this dude is Mizrahi? Which is like Eastern Jew. I mean, I know there is no real, like, you cannot really tell who is Ashkenazi and who is Mizrahi usually. People think that like, oh yeah, the Ashkenazi are like white Europeans, but in reality, like on the ground, you cannot really tell who is what. Sometimes even Yemen, like Yemeni Jews are a bit more distinct, but sometimes even that, like, you cannot really tell like who's from where. Because it's like there are blondes that are from Iraq and they're like gingers. Like I have a cousin from the Georgian side, like you know, everybody is like black haired. Suddenly I have one cousin that is ginger from out of nowhere, like a ginger cousin. Like where is it from? God knows. But it's not Ashkenazi.
Now it's my Judaism.
JVP.
Jewish Voices for Peace.
Got it.
Anyway, so he told me himself that he renounces his Judaism. But then, you know, the second CNN comes, he puts on a tallis, he puts on his kippah, and he sits in the middle of the camp and leads a Seder.
Listen,
and
this
was
is
really
amazing. That's amazing. Like this is performative. Like they are not allowed to speak to anyone directly. If you talk to someone outside of the camp, you get kicked out of the camp. They have this performative actions. This is expertise. These people, those who are organized it, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. This is thought out. This is not a spontaneous like students protesting.
really frustrating there is that there are guys like Mark Ruffalo from the outside who are, you know, hopping in from their high horse saying there's no anti-Semitism. Mark Ruffalo, I understand that you're famous, but you're not on campus. Also, there's Professor Howley, the Jewish.
By the way, Mark Ruffalo was always an anti-Semite. He was always an anti-Semite. Like I remember talking about him being an anti-Semite since forever. It's like it's a known fact about him. It's like it's not a surprise. It's like, oh, Mark Ruffalo appeared when all the anti-Semitism people like now it's popular. Yeah, duh. He was always an anti-Semite. Unrelated tangent, but yeah. I can't find this video, guys, that I wanted to show you. So there was this Miss Universe woman, Israeli, that had a table, have a date with Miss Universe, and people sat down, and when she was like, and they were like, "How are you from?" And I was like, "I'm from Israel," and people like, "Okay, we have to stop filming now." A few people did talk to her, but at the end of the day, she got attacked. She got physically attacked. So, spoiler alert. Like they refused to talk to her and then later they also she got physically attacked as well.
Professor who I've never seen associate with the Jewish community once come in and say, they're teaching about anti-Semitism here, so clearly there's no anti-Semitism. Well, Professor Halley, these same kids who are teaching about anti-Semitism are also the modern-day Nazis. They're the ones saying, let's globalize the Intifada, let's target Jews. They're the ones who are encouraging harassment against Jews. So it's really frustrating when these token Jews step in, act like they understand what's happening, and then kind of make it as if we're weaponizing anti-Semitism.
And these Jewish students not only had what they called a Passover Seder, which they spelled cedar like the wood.
They misspelled it.
Yes, completely. But they also have Seder plates where instead of writing parsley, they write occupation and then wrote the Hebrew in backwards. So I don't know how strong these people actually feel tied to Judaism unless it promotes this terrorist agenda.
Going off of that, just to explain a little more, when she says that they wrote it backwards, you write Hebrew from right to left.
Yes.
And they wrote it the opposite way. And it was illegible, it was inaccurate, and it just... It's ridiculous.
It's just another mockery. It's just another the whole encampment is a mockery. There is a genuine humanitarian crisis occurring in Gaza. No one is denying that. When you put tents and say paint your nails for Palestine, and you have dance shows and you've got arts and crafts.
Paint your nails for Palestine.
Paint your nails for Palestine. Well, you're mocking the war. You're mocking what's going on there. And all the media in the world has got their cameras on these kids who are twerking for Palestine, doing arts and crafts of Palestine. Meanwhile, Hamas releases a video of Hirsch, who's a hostage with his hand cut off, begging for the US government to do something and release him. The media doesn't cover it because it's way more exciting to put your cameras on kids who've put kafirs on and are chanting these fancy little chants and are coming up with all these catchphrases, paint your nails for Palestine. It's insane.
Yeah.
I think something that was very telling was only a couple days after October 7th, where Jewish students and Israeli students didn't have a day to mourn. There was a protest by the pro-Palestinian students celebrating the attack.
One day.
Just a couple days. I had friends who were still getting ready to fly back to Israel because they were on orders. This could have been a moment where Palestinian and Israeli students could have gone together to condemn this attack, and we could have focused our attention on criticizing what's going on the other side, but
University, one of the premier universities in the world. They're not people who are in Gaza.
Yep, we got it. Speaking about that, let's have a moment of some fun. I think I showed not a different video of the same artist before, with a talk with Yale, but this is a real conversation that with Harvard admission. Speaking of having a person who actually participated in the October 7th attack on campus. Just a moment of laughter before we go back to, black humor though, like the dark humor.
Harvard Admissions, how may I help you?
Hello, my name is Jama. My son Hamid would really like to register to your establishment next year. I think you might have heard of him. He was one of the Hamas fighters who participated in the fight of October 7th, a real political activist. So I wanted to ask if you have some kind of political activism scholarship.
No, all of our scholarships are need-based. There aren't any merit-based scholarships.
It would not help if he says that he is Hamas fighter.
Everything that a student does
Like it feels so different out. Now it's like, okay, it's actually came true. Like, they post, like, she made it right away after the attacks, but Adin is back. Sup.
Hey, what's
So
up?
I'm gonna I'll let you know what's happening. So we were watching a video about the experiences and how organized those protests are. And actually one of the protesters on the I think it's Columbia University grounds was one of the people who participated on October 7th attack. And then when they went to complain, then the answer was, oh, we're going to find one person in that sea of people. And it was like Homeland Security, like this, like this person participated in the October 7th attacks, like. But I'm showing this. Have you seen it? The video?
I think I see it. I think I saw it.
Like asking for an admission. I'm gonna roll back just a little bit.
Activism
Is
scholarship.
asking about applying to Harvard University.
No, all of our scholarships are need-based. There aren't any merit-based scholarships.
It would not help if he says that he is Hamas fighter.
Everything that a student does helps them in the process.
Okay, so that will be helpful if he writes down that he was in the October 7 massacre.
In addition to everything else, our process looks at the student's entire secondary school career, both inside and outside of the classroom.
And the massacre is an advantage, right?
Any of their activities. We look at all of their activities inside and outside of the classroom.
And don't worry, he didn't rape any captive. He's very respectful for gender self-definition. He only killed them. He's very feminist. So it will be okay, right?
All I can say to you is that he can apply.
Great. Because he's very respectful for ethnic minorities. He only slaughtered white babies. We don't need more white male in the world, right? Hello.
It's so sad.
Do you have any other admissions questions I can answer for you?
Yes, we want to make sure about your campus rules, so we don't do anything forbidden. You can smoke in the campus surroundings?
I'm not sure if you can smoke on...
Okay, what about drinking?
Drinking's not allowed.
What about raping?
That's not allowed on campus either.
Okay, how about slaughtering babies around the campus?
That's not allowed on campus either.
What about wearing a hat?
You can wear a hat.
Oh, good. I was afraid for a moment. Okay, he's looking forward to be in your school. He has lots of very, very fun activities for him and the students and everyone. It will be so much fun.
I think to myself, what a wonderful...
Too real. Like right now, it's too real. Like, when did she publish this? It's like too real. Come on. What do you think about this video now?
Very hilarious and nice satire.
Yeah, but like, didn't you like, when did you watch it first time, when it was published?
I don't remember.
I'll tell you, it was published 5 months ago. Yeah, I was just thinking, like, it hits different now, doesn't it? Like, just a little bit different.
Yeah. I mean, as I tweeted this morning, Columbia students wear more Hamas uniform than Hamas itself.
What? Columbia students, what did they do?
Wear Hamas uniform more than Hamas itself.
I mean, yeah, because they don't want to get identified between the civilians,
Yeah.
right? Amazing.
So I stand corrected.
Yeah, true. Wow. So how do we fight that? Come on.
I don't know how we can influence Harvard. Eventually, what I think is that I don't think the problem with the Palestinian movement that it's always eventually destroyed itself. It can't
Yeah,
really.
but we don't want to we want to survive the destruction part.
Yeah. We can only hope that we survive it so far.
Wait, let me see. Let's see. Let me see. There are a few more. There are videos like of people talking, rabbis and people that were talking about what's happening in the situation and in the United States and everything. And I'm kind of thinking if I wanna. There are also like videos from talking with an Iranian student and everything like that. But I think maybe we should skip to the rabbis. What do you think?
Rabbis, how they will help.
I mean, not rabbis. I think just one rabbi that I recorded and just talking about the situation. I thought this one couple. Well, let's start with wondering what should I start with. Let's start with that. See what you're thinking.
Characters in that story. Then Aliyah
It was
becomes an
talking about the fact the Aliyah story, the leaving the exodus from Egypt should be something that be it's an Aliyah conference. Okay, so it's American Jews talking about how to bring Jews to Israel, but they also bring up other topics that I thought were interesting, and because they kind of speak about the situation, and I think it's kind of telling because it's listening, praying to more private conversation between Jews thinking about those things. So I thought it might be interesting for people to see what does that sound like.
brainer. Aliyah becomes obvious. And they don't need to be coerced into it. They don't need to be bribed into it. And to be honest, I've known a few people who have come here, made Aliyah, took the free degree, and then went back to wherever they made Aliyah from. Meaning that the gifts, the absorption basket, the sources, that's not what really creates Aliyah. What creates Aliyah is bringing more Jews to see themselves as active participants, to want to be part of this story. Right, to want to be a part of this story. And I am sorry to say that it would be one thing if we just failed to share that story. If the institutions responsible...
I recognize Hila in the middle.
You know her?
Yeah, we talked a bit.
Oh, do you have some tea?
No, she's just very nice lady in general. Shout out there. She's also active on Twitter.
Yeah, I should check her out. So, who is she exactly?
She also made Aliyah, I think last year.
Oh. No, she's gonna talk too. I'm not the whole conference is it's ours, right? I just took a section where this is
you can also invite her to the call if I think she would be interested.
Yeah, I think so. I would love to talk to her. She sounds super interesting.
Yeah.
I like the way she's speaking.
Yeah.
For educating our youth in the diaspora merely failed to help them see themselves as characters in that story. That would be one thing, and that would be bad, but it's worse. I would argue that many of the institutions responsible for keeping young Jews engaged Jewishly and connected to Israel have actually pushed many of our best and brightest young people away. I think that if you look at these protests, I don't think Josh remembers, but this morning I asked him if he could change the title from The Crisis on Campuses to the crisis of the next generation, because I think when we only look at what's happening on campuses, we're really only seeing the tip of the iceberg. I think what's happening on campuses is the result of something far, far deeper that we need to address. I know young Jews, not one, not two, whose parents spent a fortune on at least 12 years of pro-Israel, modern Orthodox private school in New York. And they're at the protest tents at Columbia. Right? And it's not uncommon. I'd say that, I went, when I was in the States, I was in the Five Towns for a day. And I went with a friend of mine who lives there to a pizza shop where kids after school were hanging out, Five Towns kids, Jewish kids, they go to Jewish schools. And I told my friend, let me show you something. And I asked the students next to us, the teenagers, they were like, juniors, seniors. I asked them, what's the mission of the Jewish people? Do the Jewish people have a mission in history? And they had no clue what I was talking about. If I asked them how to make tea on Shabbat, they might have known. If I asked them what bracha they made on the pizza, they might have different answers for me. But I asked, what's the mission of the Jewish people? Is there a purpose to history? Do the Jewish people have a unique function in history? And they had no idea what I was talking about. Meaning that's completely absent from Jewish education in the diaspora. And maybe some institutions here as well. What is the mission of the Jewish people? What are we here for? What is this for? Why are we doing this? And I would say something else, in addition to being completely uninspiring, the Jewish educational institutions that exist are essentially trying their mission, what they tell the parents who pay the tuition and what they work to achieve educationally with the students is to create successful Americans who will have Shabbat once a week in a kosher restaurant to eat in, and a pair of tefillin in the morning. That is the goal. Not to be part of the Jewish people rebuilt in our land, not to participate in achieving the goals of Jewish history, which are accessible to us for the first time in thousands of years, but rather to be successful Americans with a Jewish religion. And the organizations, there were two organizations from what we can call the Hasbara industry, the pro-Israel organizations responsible for spreading pro-Israel messages on university campuses. There were two organizations that were actually supposed to be here. And they pulled out. They pulled out.
Here's the tea is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Focus, Adin.
No, just some private matter. Just some private messages there, so reading.
No, yeah, but this part I want you to react to, what they're gonna say now.
Okay.
I'm curious about.
And maybe it's a good thing they did, because I feel more comfortable now calling them out and saying that they failed. In the last 2-3 decades, American university students, especially politically active students, have become increasingly aware and critical of US imperialism, of the way the United States behaves around the world. Now, at the same time as this awareness is spreading among the next generation of Americans, the pro-Israel organizations have worked to present Israel as an outpost of American power. Meaning these two things are happening at once. Politically active college students are becoming more aware and more critical of US imperialism, right? It's a given, meaning you go to American campuses today, you have a political conversation with a student, with a professor. The way the US functions overseas is known to be nefarious. It's known to be exploitative. It's known to be evil.
Technically not too wrong, but not too true either, because this is why I'm interested to think, to hear what you think about what they're saying. He's saying here. He didn't
I
finish it, but like because it's like yeah.
I don't think, describing American foreign policy as one broad, like there is one consistent American foreign policy for the decades. I think it's a very childish way to look at it. Like not
Yeah,
every
like
administration had the same policy to every part of the world.
yeah, I agree. Like with that, it is flaky though. It's part of the problems with foreign policy. Like,
And at the same time, all of the organizations responsible for promoting Israel on campuses, making people pro-Israel, are presenting Israel as part of that, as an appendage to that, as an outpost of Western power in an otherwise savage region. That's the messaging. Right? And question might be, we could ask why. I think that one of the reasons might be that the donors to a lot of these organizations, they themselves don't want to struggle with questions of dual loyalty. It's very important that they can feel American and pro-Israel and American and pro-Israel and American and pro-Israel and not have to choose.
what do you think about the dual
I mean,
dual loyalty
it's
thing?
kind of like a contradiction between, for one hand, they say Israel is a colonial Western enterprise, but on the other hand, they say that Zionist Jews have dual
The
loyalty.
truth is, it's
And
not a
Can
colonial.
I finish?
Oh yes, I'm sorry.
I'll finish. And on the other hand, they say that the Zionists have dual loyalty to Israel, which is contradiction. How can Israel, for one hand, be Western colonial enterprise, but on the other hand, Zionist or pro-Israel have dual loyalty against the Western Israel? Like,
I
as in
guess
this
it's the
supposed
question of you speaking to right or left, right? The right will blame us, like
for
the
most
right.
cases, 90% of the cases, the people who say that Israel is a colonial, Western colonial enterprise, they will also complain about the Zionist lobby of how it's manipulated elections and politicians and all that.
I think I was about to say like the thing is like a lot of people have dual loyalties. It's not that unnormal. Like right now in this world, it's like almost everybody has it. So I kind of wonder like what is it if it's a real if it's a real thing anymore. Maybe that should be shelved. It's like everybody has dual loyalties.
I mean, what do you call dual loyalty? Do Irish American have dual loyalty to Ireland?
No, but they might have like dual loyalty in a sense that they are also like care about Christians in other, like they care about the Christians globally, not just in America, for example. Like it is double, like that's also double loyalty, isn't it? I don't know, like it's kind of curious because like I don't think Israel is a Western colonialist project, right? I think
Yeah, it's not about Israel being Western power. It's about the contradiction between, for one hand, accusing Israel for being Western colonial power, and also accuse Jews who support Israel for being dual loyal at the same time.
but it's not, but he's talking about like how Jews perceive themselves. Like he says that the reason that Jews like to describing Israel as if it's like a country that has like similar values and like we share interest and everything like that is because they don't want to struggle with the question of dual loyalty. And then it's like, okay, instead of saying, okay, we have like there is conflict between Israel interests and US interests, they're saying, oh, it's the same interests. Like this is how they solve it. Which to me, like, I don't think I remember like when I was in school, there was one, she was an American woman. She was singing Jewish songs. And she came and she performed. And then in the end, I was a little bit of an asshole child guess a little bit still am, just very direct. And I was like, what's Jewish about your songs? Like, what was, like, where's the Jewish thing? I was like, what's, like, she's just singing in English. Like, it could have been like a Christian song. It could have been anything. Like, I was like, what's Jewish about it? So I don't know. Okay. Sorry for interrupting. But the thing is, like, if we don't know what we want, like how they are gonna present themselves, then yeah, how can you do an asbara? Because then you have this, I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, Israel does very proud of inheriting some Western values like democracy and liberalism. And so basically what I'm saying is like Israel cannot be depicted on one hand for being colonial power and the other hand being dual loyalty. It can go both ways. Either like it's a basic
But right now we're on the same team. How do we explain it to the goys? Like, how do we make it clear?
like I'll explain to you, like if we can't
Like, it's waiting for people to come with the accusation and then you respond.
which is my tactic at least.
Like, it's funny because for me, I'm thinking, okay, this is a conversation to also, a part of it is to like before somebody comes, right? How do you see yourself? How do you present yourself? Isn't it? I don't know.
So the organizations obviously don't want to rock the boat by even spotlighting examples where Israel's actually a victim of U.S. empire. I mean, the disengagement from Gaza comes to mind, but even the Biden administration's behavior right now is telling. That's one thing. Another thing is that until this whole campus thing even got on the radars of most of the decision makers here, the real interest Israel had in the United States was to get weapons, to go to Capitol Hill and get weapons, right? Go to Congress, go to the Senate, and lobby for weapons, for arms. So when the Hasbara on campus began around 20-something years ago, they basically came with the same message. We're going to basically say what we say on Capitol Hill to university students. Yeah. And that led to the complete alienation of all politically active college students from wanting anything to do with Israel. Israel is the bad guy. Israel is the villain, right? And when we look at what's happened, we've essentially, we've been fighting against the wrong thing. When we look at what's going on in university campuses, we're saying, well, the problem is where the next generation has gone politically, right? They've become anti-Israel, they've become anti-America, and we need to fix them, we need to change them, we need to stop this. But the truth is, maybe we're attacking the wrong thing. Maybe where American college students is bigadol actually very good and healthy and correct. The problem is how they see Israel, how we've presented Israel to them as an agent of US empire instead of as its victim. Now, given all these challenges, right, and the state of the next generation of diaspora Jews, I'd like to invite my distinguished panelists, starting with Hila Oz. Hila is a social media activist.
Yeah, so this is what he said. I feel like it's halfway
I think
there.
what he's saying is like it doesn't say directly, but what he's saying is that I think that have the problem of Hasbara that it conflates between the policies and the narrative we want to have with the current US government with what we want with college students. Because with the US government, we have interest with the US government to support their foreign policy, to be on their side of in foreign conflict, to gain their to have armed deals and support whatever their agenda is. and it's coming with contradiction with students in college students, but they usually against what the American government does. So it's kind of like create contradiction between the interests of the Hasbara pro-Israel camp, how exactly they can satisfy both sides. And I think what Hasbara is basically just prefer to go to satisfy the US government position.
But I also yeah. But I also think he doesn't completely understand like the sentiment that where it comes from, right? Like he's halfway. Like if you take it to okay, we understand that the US does things wrong, then it's normal. But what's happening in reality is that it's like it's black and white. It's either America is perfect and how dare you criticize it, or America is the devil and how dare you appreciate some things about America. It's like this is how I feel like this is what the conversation is really like.
I think the example that basically that amplify it the most perfectly it's the position on the American war on terror, like following 9/11. Like usually of us Barav Israeli guys basically represent, oh, we are on the same side against Islamic terrorism, we support you and all that. But for college students, for them, American war on terrorism, it's imperialist American war against, poor countries. And some of them will even justify 9/11. So for them, when they say Israel being sympathetic, show sympathy toward the American war on terror, just further prove their own world position.
But maybe it would have just not as been as black as white because okay, first of all, the US does screws us. It screwed us many times.
But we
It betrayed us in every
we have
peace
a big
treaty. They
dilemma.
betrayed us.
If you really want to approach the college students, you need in some way to alienate yourself with the American government, which is something I don't think we can able.
No, I think it just being independent, just not there, not here, not there. Just life is more complex than that.
But it's complex. I mean, we still want the American government built out, so at least this is what the official Israeli government policy is. Is it really worth it to risk our relation with the American government just to score some points with college students?
First of all, there was no relation until 67 to begin with, until the 70s, actually.
Yeah, but since 67,
like Eisenhower,
the
whole time Eisenhower was in power, there was zero relations.
Yeah, I know, but you need to remember that since 67, power dynamic has changed. Israel today, how the Israeli army and security defense and is formed is different than it was before 67. And besides, even if we theoretically could become independent, the question is how much is it worth it? Does it worth to risk the intelligent and the technology and the knowledge just for?
But first of all, it goes both ways. But yeah, I think it's wrong. I think, to be honest, Israel chose the West because the East was corrupt. Like way more, like whatever you say about America and how annoying it is and how much it played it was irresponsible with its foreign policy. They're just corrupt. Like they just the worst you can say. Okay, Eisenhower was actually, like, to be honest, even though he ignored Israel, he had like his Christian core, but a lot of times it's just money. It's just the only thing that's leading is money.
I mean, does it really
especially with the
matter what
Democrats?
is their interest? Eventually, we can't really, even whatever
It does.
money or ideology, we need to
It does.
deal with it. We need to deal with it, whatever.
I know we need to deal with it, whatever. But the reason that Israel chose the West and not USSR was because of ideology. It is a factor. Those who provided arms to Israel in 48 was the USSR because
No, it was
they
Czech
thought
Republic. It was the Czech Republic.
Do you think the Czech Republic did it? No, it was the USSR
No,
through the Czech Republic.
The Czech Republic, it was before the communist coup. They made the arm deal. during the communist
it was the USSR through the Czech Republic. Let's be honest.
I mean, it's more complicated. I read about the the Czech Republic armed deal. It was very complicated. How it
yeah, but
represented.
the USSR was always also there. Like it was not so clear. Let me say, like
I mean, the
it wasn't
USSR at
clear.
the same time also supported, also in '48, supports Syria and Lebanon.
And the US supported Syria and Egypt.
No, the US.
Syria, it's Saudi.
The USA put embargo on all sides, which de facto only impact Israel because
only
the
impacted Israel.
The
Exactly.
Arabs had more allies than Israel.
No, but they did still.
It was the British. It was the British who supported the Jordanians and the Iraqis and Egyptians to some degree.
Yeah, like the thing is just that I don't think the thing that it can't be, but the truth is like it's not the US that gave us the arms in 48, no matter how you look at it. Okay, whether it's Czechoslovakia or the USSR, it was not the US. The US would put us on embargo, and they almost didn't vote in favor to establishing the state of Israel. You know, the ambassador in the UN, he voted against it, and the US almost didn't do it, right? But like that's what I say. I think in the end of the day, the US is the best option because it has the best values. No matter like, even though sometimes it's more about money than values, it depends on the government.
It's also based on basic security need.
It's true, but it's legit values, it's real thing.
Yeah.
Like for USSR, just like Russia, it's expansion. There is nothing there really.
Mm-hmm.
So and they were completely corrupt and awful, right? Same with China, right? Like you think China would not love to cooperate with Israel if Israel would have chosen to? I really think they would have. I think Israel has a lot to offer for Russia and China.
I don't think it's worth it. Like we need
exactly. We choose it. We chose the US because we have a value system that aligns. That's the baseline.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end of the day, like that's the thing, is like if our values align, this is where it is. Like this is our similarities. But other than that, it's not like
This is the contradiction of basically to appealing to the college students because they are not sharing the same values with the American government.
Yeah, I agree. I think that what he's saying is misunderstanding of the situation completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like I agree with you on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the US, like yes, the truth is like what they're standing for, in this protest is exactly what we're against, like in principle.
Mm-hmm.
But what if they take over? This is also like a future we have to prepare for.
Well, we need to remember that eventually college students only represent some minority privileged class, not the entire American society.
That it was students that took over China. It was students that took over, like those were students that marched. It's not that simple.
Mm-hmm. And you're referring to the Chinese.
I think it was also the students that took in Korea. Like it's students. Like it has a like.
The Taliban.
Yeah. I don't. You don't. Yeah. You don't need. You just need the majority to be silent. It's not that the majority ever agrees. They just need not to do anything. So it is like in theory, right? So there is something like.
Mm-hmm.
I should really New Testament the story, but I don't really read the New Testament. I'm just joking with the turning tables. It was a joke. It was not serious. Sometimes I'm just saying things just like just like to exaggerate to make a point, not to because I really think it. Same here. Just I'm trying to brainstorm, with because it's a real problem. Either way, it's a real problem. Like this is what my channel is about. I know like you came out of the blue, but like this is what I'm doing. I'm just going like I'm digging deep. Let's see. Yeah, but like on principle is wrong because the thing is it's not that America is on the gray, right? But on the good gray, like almost white kind of gray. It's just that they like painted it black. Yeah. So I don't know.
Eventually we can't really appealing both to America and to the American college students.
True.
We
It's
can't
like it's contradictory.
contradict. If we can't, I'm just being honest with you.
No, yeah, no, I'm listening. I
When
agree.
we compare October 7 to 9/11, for them it just proves why Israel is more evil because I think 9/11 justified. Like
Yeah. So this is where the fight is. Like, no, there is no justification for it.
so eventually just a bigger fight than Israel. It's a fight over Americanism.
It was the same with everything before that. It was never anti-Semitism. It's just they heard of it, the canary in the coal mine. It's just a symptom. The first symptom that something's gonna go badly for everyone. It's just the first symptom. It's not about the Jews either, They don't know anything about Judaism, those who protest against us. They don't know anything about Israel. They don't know anything about the Jews.
Who is he referring to me?
It just shows that something is rotten. It was clear leftist before October 7th, and he is doing the limbo to try to. No, I think he's just misinformed. I think he's just doesn't know. That's what I think, really. I think like a lot of like the one biggest problem with the ultra-Orthodox, like the super Jewish people, they tend to be really naive. Like they don't understand like how dark is the darkness in some like that's my experience at least. What do you think? You're wearing a kippah.
As I'm saying, I'm skeptic and pessimistic person by nature, so
Yeah.
I don't think we can influence American college students about Israel, which only could work if we also influence them about America itself, which is something I don't think we have the capability to do it, at least alone.
That's what by the way, that's the next rabbi that I recorded. This is what he's talking about. That approach. This is why I want to finish with it, kind of.
I mean,
what's here? He said the students are correct, but their stance on Israel needs to be changed. How blind could he be? Could you be? Many things are gray and complex, but the wrongness in the student. I think it's similar to how a lot of ultra Orthodox Jews look at Islam. Like they don't really go and check how deep is the darkness there. They just like look at surface level, and of course, like the Muslims like don't show the real Islam to them. They just like, oh yeah, we pray like you two guys do, and they're like, oh, we all pray, so it's kumbaya, right? Like they don't bother like doing the deep work of like understanding how deeply in like how completely like some, not all, but this is something I've observed. It's like it's just studying Judaism without like seeing the darkness of other ideologies is problematic. Gil Johnson, it's all good. Thank you for your support. Love your humor. Yay. Somebody likes it. So thank you, Ayatollah Khamenei, for your support. Okay, let's finish.
For those of you who are not on Instagram or TikTok and aren't familiar with Hila's work, but she is a powerful young voice in the Jewish world. And I'm going to introduce each panelist as they speak, starting with Hila, the situation of Jewish identity and how it plays in to what we're talking about.
Thank you so much. Hello, I'm Hila. Thank you all for coming. I want to speak specifically about how religious Jews in the diaspora can kind of, I guess, ignore this huge part of Jewish identity that is Yishuv Baaretz, that is living in Eretz Israel, that is our connection to Israel, because I think it's a huge issue, not even just in the modern Orthodox world, but even, super Hasidish, yeshivish, like very, very, very religious Jews are able to ignore this core tenet of our identity. And I think that the fact that Passover just ended, I think it's relevant to talk about how most of the Jews did not leave Mitzrayim, right? We learned that about 4/5 of the Jews died in Egypt during the Plague of Darkness. And then you have the generation that was in the Midbar, and they all died off, and only their children were able to enter the land of Israel. And I guess the question that I have is, what was different about these Jews? We know about the Jews who left Israel that they were also on the 49th level of impurity. Like, they were not the best. And my prediction is that these Jews who stayed behind distanced themselves with the national identity and the national mission of the Jewish people. That they said, I am a Jew individually, and that affects me as an individual, which I think is a very religious take on Judaism. And my connection with the Am isn't the main point of my identity. And so they stayed back, and they died in Egypt, or they died in the Midbar. And I unfortunately believe that even in the religious community, which I feel blessed to be a part of, maybe religious isn't the right word, Torah observant, because I don't like categorizing Judaism as a religion, because I think that allows us to fall into this mistake. I think that there is an identity crisis as a result of 2,000 years of trauma in the diaspora, that we have made ourselves into a religion, and that's not who we are. The Torah we never describe ourselves in the entire Tanakh as a religion. Arguably, the only person who describes us as a religion is Haman, and he sucks, so why would we listen to him? We identify ourselves as either B'nai or Am, that we are the children of, that we're a family unit, or Am, we're a nation. And when we confuse ourselves with a religion, we get into this, I guess, this falsehood of Judaism becomes a way for me to get a sort of heaven, and it's very personal, and it completely ignores the collective, and especially the collective mission. Like Rav Yehuda Cohen was saying, we have a mission as a Jewish people. And when we ignore who we are, when we're struggling through this identity crisis, it's so easy to say, well, Egypt has Target and Trader Joe's, and Egypt has bigger houses, so why would I leave Egypt for this strange land? And we're in the Midbar, we get man every day, and it's so comfortable, and like our clothes grow with us, and we don't have to go to the bathroom. Why would I want to go into this strange land with these giants who are all dying? Like, what's going on? It's so easy when we forget who we are, that who we are is tied to a mission. It's so easy to be like, it's so comfortable. And what do we know about comfort in the Torah? Who's named Comfort? Noah, who was a tzaddik in his generation, but wasn't able to bring people with him. He ignored the needs of the collective. That's what comfort does. So I think there are many reasons, aside from that Torah Jews don't move. Obviously, I believe that there are individual reasons for a Jew to stay in Chutz La'aretz, mainly to bring other Jews to Eretz Yisrael, to take care of a kehillah until they can move to Israel. And I think that it's easy to say that, oh, well, this person has an excuse, so why doesn't the collective have an excuse? And I think that also when we forget our identity as a nation, we forget the way that history repeats itself. I am watching the news every day, and I'm calling my family back home in America, and I'm saying, like, hello, wake up, this has happened before. And we look back on those times where this has happened before and say, why didn't they leave Germany? Why didn't they leave Poland? Why did they stay? There were people offering them a way to get to the mandate. My great-grandfather, Yuda Arazi being one of them, who was smuggling Jews into the mandate. There were ways to get out. Why didn't they leave? It's because they were comfortable. And when you associate yourself with a religion, why would this national story have anything to do with you? Why would the fact that history repeats itself have any bearing on you? So, and I think another thing is that in a lot of collections of the 613 mitzvot, Yeshiva Aretz is not listed. But neither is belief in Hashem or studying Torah. This is a Heksher mitzvah. This is why so many mitzvot cannot be done outside of the land of Israel. Just like no mitzvah can be complete without believing that Hashem exists. Obviously, we're supposed to live in Israel. And yes, there was an excuse. We were exiled. So of course we weren't here for a while because we had no means to come back. But now we can come back. And I think it's almost insulting to our forefathers that we don't. Thank you. I want to end with a mashal that one of my rabbis I went to Neve Yerushalayim, which is a seminary here in Jerusalem. One of my rabbis there, Rabbi Marcus, who is by no means like a very Zionistic rabbi, but I think this is such an important mashal, is he said that when we were sent into exile, it was as if we were a child misbehaving at the kitchen table who was told by his father, go to your room. The point of being sent to your room is not to stay in your room. Yeah, you might have some fun games there or a nice book. You might have a poster you like to look at. But the point of being sent to your room is not to be in your room. It is to learn from your mistakes, go back to the kitchen table, and have a relationship with your father. So for anyone watching who has not yet made Aliyah, who is not in the process of making Aliyah, go back to the kitchen table and have a relationship with your father and the rest of your family. That's Hashem, obviously our father, and the rest of our family, the Jewish people.
She talked like a classic חוזר בתשובה.
You think so?
Yeah, I know she told me like when we talk, she used to be secular and then she discovered religion and all that.
Yeah, too much God in it, thrown in.
Like I personally, I know it's ironic, but I don't use religion as an argument. Like I try not to appeal to Bible and God and religious feeling when I try
But
to.
it's a religious convention.
Yeah, I know, I understand. Like.
So what brought you to Eretz Israel? Like this is the thing, right? Like the big dream with American Jews was that they can be Jews and that they'll be just like everyone else. But then they came to America to find out that they are still Jews. So it's like this collectiveness kind of chases us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's both outside and inside.
Mm-hmm.
But because I think like it's a dilemma, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. Chaya, America was supposed to allow Jews to have the freedom of religion, exactly. Just like a person who happens to be Jewish and not a Jew that is not even a person. No thoughts? Just in general about that. So what's your argument? What do you think? Like Jews in the United States, they shouldn't do Aliyah then? In your view, for example?
I mean, if they want to, if they feeling, I'm not like, if they feel that it will be better for them, they should do Aliyah.
And for like, I don't know. So how much of the Jewish identity is part of you, do you think? I don't know.
For me?
Yeah.
Like, it's very important to me, like, at least as a nationalist identity.
So you're a national, so this is like the baseline. This is a nationality.
Yeah. I believe in the Israeli nation.
So how can you be a Jew without your nation?
This is why I don't think we can convince. I think Hila kind of like missed the mark with a religious attitude. Like I know she refrained that Jews are
Like
not.
with adding God, or just
Yeah,
like
I don't think we
because
can
the
make it based on God or the Torah. I think it's important. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not important. We should drop it, but I don't think it will be helpful to appealing to most of the Jewish people.
like I tend to agree with you. Like the God is undefined anyway, right? It's not. It's also a choice. It's kind of a choice, right? If to keep the Jewish history alive or not. It's up to the individual as
I
well.
mean, there are things that are subjectively true, like the history of the Jewish people is subjectively true.
No, it doesn't have to be subjectively true.
I'm talking
It's not
about the
about
Jewish
that.
history. No, I'm talking about things that are subjectively something that could
Yeah,
unite with
some
Jewish people.
yeah.
God, it's not God, and the Torah laws are not something that could necessarily could unite with Jewish
I
people,
think
because
that the Torah, yes, because it's part of our Jewish history,
we can
like
represent it as a cultural text.
it's like yes, it's our basic history. It's our basic it's our basic psychology, our storybook. Like I did a lot of it of my channel. I talk about like the psychology of the Jewish story, like the Exodus story. It builds like a certain narrative in your mind, a certain kind of values, that are not necessarily like it's true for any person. Like any person that adopts it, it like gets a certain or listens to those stories, get us like and feels like they're part of it. They end up having a certain mindset. Because like the Exodus story is like you first like their slavery, like they freed their mind, right? They decided not to be slaves anymore, and then they in the desert it was like, okay, but you cannot, if you're dependent you're still slave, so you're becoming independent. It like personal responsibility is the desert story. And then this the fight in self-governance, it's like the whole thing is like it's the free man story, it's like teaches you how to be a free person. You don't have a king above you that is a person. And it's like it's different when you learn those stories, and this is what you see. So I do think it's a big part of us. It doesn't have to be religious. It's just like the psychology of it. And then when it's nationality, yes, nationality, you accept everyone, all the sons. האתרוג, דללב, הדס והערבה. You can be whatever. So I agree with like I think the adding God was a little bit, this is where it was. Not necessarily like the nation part. I agree very much. Like part of being a family is that you accept everyone, no matter what, because they're still your family, no matter how crazy they are. That is also like that, like part of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we're tired, right?
Yeah, I need to study also after it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Any
I was
last questions from the crowd, people? I mean, yeah.
yeah open for a few last questions.
Yes. Yes, I thought it's interesting. Like, it's just because to me, the question of dual loyalty, whatever Jews say like this, it's a real question. It's a real thing. You with me? Chatting. All right. Was being tired. All right. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, it was very nice to have chat here.
It's a bit intense, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm like, get in the mood.
Mhm.